Welcome to Restrocast. Today I have an exciting guest, Benson Tsai, a rocket engineer, a rocket scientist who's literally fixing the pizzas the stellar way. Benson is all what passion looks like. It's, what he's doing at Stellar Pizza is clearly an example of when a lot of smart people come together and try to fix something they're passionate about. He's not only fixing pizzas, I think the secret sauce is in how he's trying to fix it. And he's not even trying, they're quite succeeding. I love this story because it is inspiring at so many levels. It is inspiring because smart people are not trying to reinvent the wheel, but they have the courage to also say that they are just improving what world has already done. This and much more in this conversation. I'm sure you will come out of this conversation inspired as well. Benson, welcome to Restrocast. Thanks for agreeing to do this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to just talk and tell you my story.
So you just entered the restaurant space, and before you entered, you've done some interesting stuff. And before I get to a point where how did you land the restaurants?
Yeah.
Let's talk about your journey, where it all started.
Yeah. Once upon a time, no, long time ago, my parents actually they immigrated from Taiwan to America, and the first thing they did was open a fish and chips restaurant. So sort of grew up in that environment. My parents quickly learned how terrible or difficult or challenging it is to run a restaurant.
Where was this?
This was in Alhambra, California, Los Angeles, California. And then they stopped that. They sold it and started independently running their own businesses. So I grew up in a very, very entrepreneurial family. The expectation of me and my older sister was to go and start a business. That was like default. It was not go work for someone.
That's not that Asian, right?
Yeah, it's not that Asian, I would say. And when I was working a steady job, I was the first person in my family to ever work for someone else. And they would question, they'd be like, "What are you doing? Like, you should go work."
Wow, that's very cool.
Go start your own company. But grew up in Los Angeles in an immigrant household. The only foods allowed in our, Asian household that were not like Chinese food or Asian food, it was pizza and In-N-Out. Nothing else. We never ate at any other American restaurants.
Why? Yeah. Wow.
Just because they just were not used to it. And so that's sort of kind of the seed for what I'm building now. But I remember falling in love with chemistry and science and ended up watching this Good Eats by Alton Brown was this amazing show about food, cooking and baking, or just cooking and science. And then there was another show called Unwrapped where they took you through food factories and they would show people and machines working in concert to make food, by the millions. They would make, I remember seeing cookies flying through the air, just watching, for me, that was watching joy kind of be produced and manufactured and spread throughout the world. Happiness and joy in those videos. And I really wanted to do that. So went to college in Los Angeles too, at a school called Harvey Mudd College, a very small engineering school in Claremont. Got a degree in engineering. Wanted to pursue sort of large-scale chemical process manufacturing, so I got a degree.
You majored in chemical.
Yeah, so I ended up going to grad school for chemical engineering, where I thought I wanted to be a professor for a little bit, but got distracted and ended up moving to got my master's, moved to Silicon Valley and started my first company.
Yeah, and what was that about?
Yeah, this is 2008, right after the sort of the recession had just started, and thought that we could build an electric vehicle company from scratch because Tesla had just gotten off the ground. And so
that was 2008.
2008, trying to raise money, lots of fun times, very difficult, challenging times. But for some reason, we thought it was possible, and we started a company called Motive Power Systems, building electric school buses, electric garbage trucks. That was the mission to tackle fleets of electric cars, because at the time, everyone was concerned with how far you could drive in an electric car
Correct,
and
yeah.
where would you charge it.
Yeah.
And if you look at delivery vehicles, they drive the same route every day, and they go home to a depot. And so that was the mission. And the company is still around today. Yeah, my friend ran the company for 10 years. Jim Castellas ran it for 10 years, and then we found a new CEO recently.
Oh, wow. It's
Yeah.
called Motive.
Motive, MOTIV Power Systems, and provides powertrains for electric
So
trucks.
if I'm not wrong, you bootstrapped that company.
Bootstrapped and
Early
fundraised
on,
as well. A large part of the fundraising the funding came from the California government as well, trying to stimulate this kind of sector, clean tech
Got
sector.
it. So what about you? You started that and then you...
Yeah, a few years in, ended up moving over to a very, very small company that is now called today Lucid Motors, which is a big company. But I joined in the early days when they were a company called Ativa. And at the time, they were building battery packs and electric powertrains for buses and trucks in China, where the government had just announced like all trucks need to be electric next year or something like that.
Yeah,
But
that sounds like China.
Yeah, in that environment, I thought I could make a bigger impact, given that I speak Mandarin, I speak Taiwanese, I speak English, I speak engineering, right, and all of those things.
How do you speak Mandarin?
Oh,
Or is it too close to Taiwanese? So...
no, it's not close at all. It's actually like almost English and Spanish of a difference.
Oh, wow.
So as I was saying, when my parents both started their own businesses, my dad started a picture frame company, import-export picture frame company, and my mom started a Chinese school to teach kids English, reading, writing, and as well as Chinese. And so for me, my parents were too busy running their own businesses. I remember though, like kind of thinking, if I don't learn Chinese well, who's going to pay my mom to teach them their kids Chinese? And if I don't do it well, I'm going to be out on the street homeless. For some reason, as a kid, I thought had that weird thought in my head. So I did well in my Chinese classes. I took Chinese in high school, and I would say I'm pretty fluent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And Taiwanese was, of course, spoken at home.
Taiwanese spoken at home, dialect. Yeah. No written language. Yeah. So and then I learned engineering as a language, because I think if you speak English, you know that engineering is its own language itself. And so I thought I could have a big impact working at Lucid in the early days, which I think I did. I was one of the few employees who spoke all the languages, and a lot of the information got like funneled through me. And there was a time when there was a meeting, and there were 3 side conversations, each in a different language, and they were fine because they didn't understand each other. But my head was like gonna explode because I could understand everything.
Wow, man! And all the 3 were Taiwanese, Mandarin, and English.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Of course, Taiwan is a very important piece in this.
Yeah. Yeah. And Taiwan also is a very, very food-centric culture. When you see your friend or a stranger on the street, in America, you would ask, "Hey, how are you?" Right? For me, or for Taiwanese people and Chinese people as well, we ask the question, "Have you eaten yet?" And that is how well you are doing. So
Wow.
I do make that mistake. I remember one time I was talking to a coworker from America, and I was walking away from the lunch area, and I was like, "Have you eaten yet?" in English. And then he got excited, and like his eyes lit up, and I realized that he thought I was going to go with him to eat lunch, but I was just walking away from lunch.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just not being nice. This is my reflex.
Yeah. I was like, wait, I'm not.
I say this, I don't even mean it. Like.
So food is a very important part of Taiwanese culture.
That's beautiful.
They invented boba, right? It's just like a very innovative country just mishmash of foods to go, and there's like.
All right, and then at Lucid, you how many years you were there?
2.5 years. Yeah, that's been a while. 2.5 years. Designed some of the early battery packs that are now, looking at the technology, looking at the battery packs in the current Lucid Motors, had a pretty good impact on what I think was was advanced battery technology back then. Yeah.
And then to
And then SpaceX wanted to move back to Los Angeles, and one of the coolest companies in LA in 2014 was SpaceX, and they were not a success at that time. They had launched maybe 3 or 4. My numbers might be off, but just a few rockets, once a year, twice
I think
a year.
for 2 of them failed.
Oh yeah,
right?
3 of
So,
them failed
3 of-
early. Yeah, the first 3 failed, and so
Yeah.
for me, I was just like, well, do you want to design batteries for spaceships? And I was like, I'll try it. Like I was very uncertain whether I could do it, but in general, in my life, whenever I
But so were they. So
yeah. Whenever I'm trying to make a decision, I try to make the slightly more uncomfortable decision, because like there's this saying, discomfort is the price of admission to a meaningful life. And that's sort of the way I try to make my own personal life decisions, just be uncomfortable. Yeah.
And how was SpaceX?
Amazing. I was there from 2014 to 2019, and in that time frame, in that 5-year span, I was a part of 76 rocket launches.
Dude,
76,
goosebumps.
right?
Wow.
I was standing on the floor. So SpaceX, very innovative company. They've lowered the cost of launch services by a third of what other people can charge, because they reuse the rockets. But I remember watching a cartoon my first week there of like, we're going to do this thing where we're going to shoot a rocket into space and bring it back down. And I laughed, because I was like, okay, we'll do that in like 10, 20 years. Within the next year, we were smashing rockets like into boats on the ocean, just like failing in front of everyone. Learning, that is the key thing.
You know what? One stupid funny thing, but
Yeah.
all this Elon Musk Twitter saga, across the world, right? And so many entrepreneurs. My circle is all startup people, right? And there are times when entrepreneurs will say, "Oh, Elon Musk has lost it." I'm like, "Wait, hold. His rocket lands backwards.
Yeah.
Yours is barely going straight.
Yeah.
You are not going to put an opinion on Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Call me when your rocket starts
Yeah.
landing backwards."
He definitely has the ability to push people to accomplish incredible things. And I was there for a large portion. There was a whole new satellite program that I was a part of. I designed the battery systems for that, and also worked from scratch. We designed the battery pack for the spaceship that is now taking humans to space. But in 2014, the US had already lost the ability to send humans to space.
Yeah.
We were relying on the Russians. And had SpaceX not been there, this war, like we would have just been cut off from the space station.
Right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, actually, and I'm still like in my head, I'm still there, right? 2014 to 2019. Those are like the most important years in SpaceX.
Yes.
I mean, this is like.
I hope there's more exciting years ahead, but I had so much fun. We launched the car into space on Falcon Heavy, which was the triple beam rocket that we sent. And my name was etched on that car that we sent to space.
Oh.
And it's just, there were so many things. I remember standing on the floor when we landed our first rocket without blowing it up. And someone came from behind me, hugged me, and lifted me what it felt like 15 feet in the air, because it was just such an exciting moment. And I realized that like National Geographic, like all these people were there filming. And so I watched these things and I'm like, oh, yeah, wow. Okay, so that's captured. That moment in history is captured.
Wow.
And I got to live.
That video is on YouTube?
Yeah.
I'm totally taking that video off.
I lived an entire aerospace engineer's career in 5 years. And
I'm sure.
It was amazing.
And more actually, because also like challenged.
Yeah.
So many notions and so many
status quo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Disrupted an entire industry. I think if you look at Elon's history, he is where he is today. But Tesla, everyone told them, like, what are you doing trying to take on the GM, take on Toyota, and look where they are today. And the same exact thing with SpaceX. Everybody was like, what? A private company cannot,
Correct.
do this.
No, I actually think, and this is of course fanboying on Elon, but I think I actually believe when I look at the companies, that are
Spinning out.
that's that those are happening.
Yeah.
None of them have actually primed yet, and it's already trillion.
Yeah.
Right? None of them have primed. Like each of them have their best years in front of them.
Yeah.
Some of them have not even bloomed yet,
Yeah.
fully. So I was like, you know what this guy is doing, I don't think you can put a dollar value to this. I don't know, will it end at 10 trillion or 20 trillion or
Yeah.
100 trillion? You can't put a dollar value because most of these companies are like, they're about to bloom.
Yeah, 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 and it's so I've it it felt so good to be a part of history, and now when I go to Science Museum and I sit in their little rocket launch simulator and I hear the countdown 10, 9, all the way down, I I I transport myself. I get transported back to the moments where my hardware was on a rocket flying to space, and those nerves just come back every time I hear that sound. And so it was really, really great 5 years of my life.
That's amazing. So now, what is this rocket man doing selling pizzas? Was the adrenaline too much, or
why am I selling pizza? Well, I mean, I told you a bit of my story, wanting to really spread joy in the world through food. And I think it was sort of time for me to figure out what I wanted to do next. I remember watching the prototypes of the Starlink batteries come off the production line, and I stared at them and I was bored. And that was like a weird feeling to have, because like here I am standing on the ground floor of probably one of the most exciting aerospace or engineering companies on this planet, and I was bored. And that's sort of when I knew I needed to move on. I wasn't learning anymore. And for me, again, trying to be uncomfortable. I was comfortable building space batteries, and it was time for me to change it up. And that's ultimately, what I did. And so me and two other of my space battery friends at SpaceX decided to
oh
start a
wow,
food company.
yeah, all three of you are from.
Yeah, I spent 5 years with my co-founders working on space batteries. They were the team that worked on the Falcon rocket
Awesome.
battery system. And it was actually my co-founder, James Wahhawasan, who really wanted to start a company. And the entire time I was like, you're on your own. Like, starting a company is terrible. Like, it's hard. And he I think he quit his job, and he was like very serious about it. And then my other co-founder, Brian Langone, also was like, let's go. And once they sort of showed me, that they were serious, I was ready to get involved.
Brilliant. And what's happening at Stellar Pizza now?
Yeah. What's happening now? So today, ignore the fact that we built all of this crazy technology. Today, we are selling pizzas to students and college campuses in Los Angeles. And they can order on their app while they're in class, while they're in their dorm room, order and then come carry out, take the pizza away. We have a fully automated food truck that can make a pizza in about 4.5 minutes. And it can make a pizza every minute. So we can do about 4 pizzas at the same time. And with that, we think that, our pizza is good. I am confident that our pizza tastes good.
So you're doing a pizza in 4.5 minutes.
Yes, that's right.
So that's like four pizzas out in 4.5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And when you say there's a fully automated truck, you mean the pizza making process. Right?
Yeah. I'll talk through. Yeah. Have you made a pizza before? Yeah.
No, I've seen people doing it.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Fairly simple. You proof your dough for 2 days, 3 days, and then you're gonna make your pizza. So you get all your ingredients. You open the dough. So our machine will take a proofed dough ball, pick it up, move it over to the dough press, which will press out the dough. So instead of using hands or designing a robot with hands that does this, we have just a press that comes down and it presses out the dough, and there's a shape of pizza there that's left behind, right?
Sure.
And then the dough gets moved into a topping line where sauce, cheese, pepperoni, we can handle up to 10 different toppings that get added. So whatever you order, whatever you customize, however you like it, gets added onto the pizza. and then it goes into one of 4 ovens that we have in our vehicle, where we cook for about 2 minutes and 15 seconds. And hot pizza rolls to the back of the vehicle, and then slicer cuts it up, and then we box it and hand it off to the customer.
And why in a food truck?
Yeah, our goal.
I mean, I'm assuming that this
Yeah.
is like you can actually place it in a
Oh, yeah.
brick and mortar space as well, right?
We have so my team is actually a team of 30 SpaceX engineers. Lots of SpaceX alumni at Stellar Pizza. Our head chef is from SpaceX. He used to Chef Ted Sisma used to run food services for all. He built all the food services at SpaceX, feeding 10,000 people 3 meals a day.
Wow. Okay.
So we have a lot of. That's why we're called Stellar Pizza. We have a lot of space X experience. And sorry, your question was with regards to like.
Why a food truck? Like
Why a
you
food
can,
truck?
you know what you built, you can
Yeah.
place it in a brick and mortar store as well. So
Yeah.
What's the concept?
So this amazing team has built a magic box that makes pizza, and how we make money from this magic pizza printing box. It can be used in various. It can go in stadiums. It can go into retail locations. It can cook other kinds of pizza. It can. But I think the reason that I was really excited to make it mobile, beyond the fact that it adds this constraint of space and size, I think it was really, there was a moment where I ordered DoorDash, and a 10-year-old kid handed me my food when I opened the door, and I was like, what is happening right now? And his mom was driving. And to me, I realized that something was a little bit broken, like she could maybe not afford childcare, or it's just more efficient to have kids help with DoorDash even though they don't get paid. It just felt wrong to me, and so I was excited to sort of provide a different solution. I'm not saying that DoorDash is necessarily bad. I think it's really good for the restaurants that can survive on the platform. But for us, we were like, let's cook and move and deliver pizzas fresh, make it on the way to their houses. So we'd have the most affordable delivered pizza on this planet. And that was
Also, you mean that when somebody orders, truck is going in then, or are you
the idea would be to have like a fleet of trucks roaming a particular area, a neighborhood, or a larger neighborhood with like maybe 1-2 mile radius. And as you order on the app, it starts, it gets an order in, and so it starts driving to your house, and in 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, the pizza's getting made while it's driving to your house. So you're going to get your pizzas better, fresher, faster, and definitely more affordably, because
wow, that's
that was the reason for the
is the truck self-driving as well?
That's not. I joke that I'm a pioneer in the self-cooking car industry and not the self-driving car industry. We'll eventually
Not yet.
Yeah. Someone else, billions of dollars have been poured into that, and it will get solved eventually. It'd be really cool one day to have drones flying off self-driving pizza trucks and delivering pizzas to people's backyards, and that's like the sci-fi cool version of the future that I want.
That's that. I just got a visual.
Yeah.
A speeding truck has drones coming out with pizzas.
And there's dropping pizzas all over our neighborhood.
That's amazing. So how long did it take for you guys to build this, and what did it take to build this? Because and I'm really curious, because there are a ton of companies that have come all over the world. Wherein it's an automated pizza making, all kinds of all types and kinds. So what was your process, and what's special?
So a lot of other, any new industry is going to have a million different angles or approaches to solving the same problem. And so when I built my electric car company back in the day, I saw 10 million different companies that were all trying different electric powertrains. There was electric skateboards, there was electric motorcycles, right? And I see the same thing happening in the food industry, in the food automation industry. Everybody's trying their own thing. We took a very like SpaceX approach to it. It needed to be cheap. It needed to be very, very, very small, very compact. And it needed to solve the problem from we call it the first principles method, where what did we actually want to do? We just want a delicious pizza come out of a box, right? A freshly made delicious pizza. And with that approach, we started researching, like, there's robot arms, there's all these other strategies. And what I realized, the key unlock for me was realizing that we've been eating pizzas made by machines for decades in the frozen pizza industry. All of those, if you look at those factory videos on YouTube, you can see it's just like they mass manufacture pizzas. And so we decided to take that technology, use modern engineering methods, use modern engineering materials, modern electronics, everything's cheaper now. So we shrunk it all, we redesigned everything so it would fit in a very, very tight package. And that's the key isn't necessarily the specific mechanisms for making the pizza. It's about the system integration that requires a team of spaceship engineers to design. That was the real challenge.
And when you say that, packaging it in a small space,
Yeah.
The small space is the truck
Is the truck,
size.
yes.
So that means what you're talking about, the industrial machines that were making pizza, at
Huge
scale.
factories.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. So it took 3 years. Plus, you add a little COVID in there. It's challenging. 3 years, but we got to the point where the machine got its certification from the National Sanitation Foundation, and getting the permits and everything to operate. It's really exciting to see all of it now. The end product is actually just a happy college kid like biting into a slice
Brilliant. And how long back did you go live?
of pizza. Maybe 6 weeks ago. So very, very recent.
Just now.
Yeah.
Nice. And how's last?
Good, very good. We have a lot of, in terms of social media buzz, kids are sharing our boxes. I think I saw one student, he put our pizza box in the fire and took this really cool photo. So seeing the brand resonate with the college kids is really good. Our price point is incredibly affordable. Right today, we're $7.95 for a 12-inch pizza, cheese pizza.
Wow.
And a large part of that is because of the robotics.
Mm-hmm.
The robotics.
Are you saying that you're still unit economics positive
Yeah.
at $7.95?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
efficient.
Yeah. And the robotics allow us to spend more money on higher quality ingredients, so our pizzas are delicious. We can spend more money on the 1 or 2 employees that need to be at the truck. We can pay them a living wage, provide them benefits, and then we share the cost of the food, the cost savings with the customer. And I think that at the end of the day, the mission that I'm on is to spread a little joy in the world. Pizza is like the happiest thing. There's no such thing as a burger party, right? Pizza is the happiest food on earth, next to ice cream. And the other aspect to what I get really excited about is making the cost of living like reasonable, keeping it low. And with automation and robotics, if you go home and open your pantry today, all of that is in your pantry and at reasonable prices because of automation.
Yeah.
And so I'm just bringing that technology into the restaurant, closer to the customer. And it gets me really excited to think that like we could also be solving food desert problems in cities, in urban areas. There's just so much with a mobile magic pizza box that we can do.
That's really exciting, Manson. I think a lot of things stand out for me in this, and this is probably one of the coolest stories on automation in the restaurants that I appreciate. Not that I'm not for automation.
Yeah.
But it's like whenever we talk about robotics and automation on the restaurant side in the food service or food and cooking, generally the debate is siding at whether it's going to come out the same thing or not, whether it's going to be delicious or not. Are you compromising with the step or the quality or I think none of that we discuss. So so I'm just I'm really happy to hear how you're looking at it.
Yeah, I was laser focused on like if I was going to build a restaurant, it needed to be good food. It didn't need to be like gourmet, like Italian, fresh, handmade, artisanal food, but it needed to be good food because I'm a foodie. I love food, and for us, my co-founders, we actually became friends at SpaceX because we would go off campus and look for new foods to eat all the time. and that was sort of the genesis of our friendships.
Great. And how do you look at, like, what's the business model going to be now? Are you planning to roll your own fleet of trucks? Is it going to be franchising? What's happening at the business?
As a venture-backed startup, nothing is off the table. But for now, we are operating our own vehicles and under our own brand because that is necessary for us to really mature the technology to the point where we may feel comfortable franchising. We may feel comfortable licensing. I don't know where my path will, or the stellar story will go, but all I can say is that I think it'll be a really, really fun ride. And yeah.
And when you're talking to the restaurateurs, I mean, this is not a Mertech question
Yeah,
because
yeah,
this is
yeah,
just
yeah.
happening. We're using
Sure.
the same time. But when you're looking at all the chatter around robotics
Mm-hmm.
or automation in the restaurant industry, what are the things that are exciting you that other people are doing?
Yeah, well, I'm just excited that I see a lot of automation in restaurants already. I peek into McDonald's and I see the auto cup dispenser that fills the drink based on the orders that come in. I think this is the natural progression of quick service when it's not, when you're not looking for a restaurant experience, when you're looking for something quick and easy and fast and affordable. It's already happening, and I see a lot of restaurateurs, people who operate, get really excited about the automation because they see what it can do for their business. It allows them to focus on training employees to interact with humans versus interacting with machines.
But then on the other side, we are having voice AI. So even the interaction, even the interaction is going out, right? So
Yeah, the voice AI. Well, I also think that a lot more of this next generation doesn't necessarily want to even talk to anyone to order. I think they want to use their app, and once they become a regular customer, they don't even need to really use the app. You want their like favorites, like all of that. Starbucks has it, and Chick-fil-A. It's
yeah,
all.
that's basic stuff.
Once you
That's happening
once you on
already.
once you onboard, everything's super smooth, and that's what we want to do. We want to make the entire experience feel seamless. Like if someone opens the app and we're in their neighborhood or they're near the truck, I want the pizza to start being made before they even hit checkout, right? So it feels like our 4.5 minutes could feel like 2 minutes. And that's like, I think there's just a lot of exciting technologies coming into the restaurant world, and obviously with Mertech happening now, I'm excited to be a part of the conference and hear what people are trying, what people are doing. We took the crazy approach of building entirely vertically, build the hardware to cook the food, build the software to control the machine, build the software to control the machine, like at large, like in the entire restaurant, the entire software platform. So we have our own point of sale system as well.
Damn, man. Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that I don't like about your story. Why are you guys writing software as well? Let us do something at least. You'll make the rocket, you'll make the pizza, you'll make the software.
Yeah.
But two questions.
Yes.
One, do you think or do you even believe that you want to take it outside of the US? Because, this can actually find appeal in a lot of other countries.
Yeah.
But, do you think about it? And are there regulations that can stop you? Is that something that, that is there? Or is this something that can be scaled across the globe?
Yeah, so regulations are always there. I think America, maybe Europe, they're the strictest. So if we can comply with those regulations in general, we can probably make the modifications necessary to cook in other countries. It would make me so happy to take these machines to Taiwan. My only concern there is actually pizza's pretty expensive there, and not a lot of people eat pizza. I think they do, but it's not as frequent as your average American. So for us, going internationally would be amazing.
India is big on pizzas.
Yeah.
And we don't mind cheap pizzas, so you have your
That's
sweet spot.
actually pretty good. I've gotten requests from people in India like, can you do roti? Or like, I was like, yeah, probably.
Yeah, true. There are other use cases for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely the case here. But as I said earlier, that nothing's off the table. Like it would be amazing if it's Stellar Pizza, you know, expanding across the globe, or if it's our technology expanding across the globe and with other brands. Like, I'm just excited to be able to lower the cost of living for everyone.
As a founder, apart from the excitement and the rush,
Yeah.
what's keeping you awake?
Oh, building a restaurant is very, very hard. I think I deal a lot with, like, maybe not, maybe it is imposter syndrome of, like, what am I doing in this restaurant space when I should just design cool things for cars or spaceships. But then I realized that most people enter the restaurant industry quitting their finance job, or right, they find joy in serving people food, and that's what powers me through all the troubles that I face building a venture-backed startup. I'm here to try to make an impact on the world, but we live on the ragged edge of like survivability, the growth and failure border. Like, I'm just like dancing along that edge, right on the cliff every day, and it's challenging. It's mentally, exhausting.
Who's your competition?
I view my competition as basically all other pizza companies right now. It's not other
Name
pizza.
three.
Name three. I'll name Domino's, Pizza Hut, and Little Caesars, and Papa John's, the big four.
All right. Okay.
But the funny thing about the pizza industry is it's so fragmented.
You technically have competition at every corner.
At every corner, and not only competition, but also friends. Like, everybody needs to eat. Everybody loves pizza. You're not going to go to the same pizza restaurant every day. Everybody has slightly different pizzas. So I'm just excited to be playing in this area where newcomers are welcome all the time, and we get to try our own thing and have our own brand. I often joke that we're not artisanally crafted pizzas, but our robots are artisanally crafted by engineers.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually going to be a cool tagline, right? Artisanally designed robots,
robotic pizza.
pizzas.
There's handmade robots. Yeah, the restaurant world is a very, very fascinating place. And there's a common saying of, you say it's not rocket science when something's simple, right? Or it just, rocket science is this like nebulous thing that's really, really difficult. But in reality, building a restaurant is way harder than rocket science.
I don't believe you, but
Yeah, no. Here's my take on this. Okay, rocket science, there's physics. Like, yeah, there's laws of physics, and you just basically everything behaves exactly as intended. You have a customer come in, and you try to do one thing. It might work on this customer, but this customer, there's no laws. There's guidelines. So I genuinely think being a restaurateur, being an entrepreneur, is way harder than being a rocket scientist.
I totally agree. I had my restaurant 12 years back, and I can tell you that I was running a tech company while I invested in this restaurant, and I actually used to think that how hard running a restaurant can be. I'm running a tech company, and I build telecom systems. Yeah. And yes, my first 3 months in the restaurant, I was like, dude, this is unpredictable every minute. So I hear you on that. Yeah. My last question.
Yes.
Now that this machine is there already, pizzas are coming out. You're perfecting some of the systems, but what are these 30 SpaceX engineers doing now? What are they working on?
Yeah, designing the next generation of vehicle. And I want to be the place where the best engineers who are also foodies want to work. And we'll be working on the next generation of automation for other food categories. And
so it's not going to stop at pizzas.
It's not stopping at pizzas.
On that note, Benson, this is all the best. Yeah. I think this is just starting. You literally
just starting.
Yeah. I'm super happy to do this conversation.
Yeah.
Now, right? We all are going to, look at how this goes, and I'm sure it's going to go really great. So thank you for, being on the podcast.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this, and all the best again.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.